Good afternoon and welcome to Cooks and Cars. Hi, I'm Rob D'Amico. Thank you so much for tuning in today on this Thursday edition. That's right, Thursday, and we are live and we're talking to our friends, the Grill Dads. Mark and Faye are going to be joining us a little bit later on the show. So we'll get to them. We'll talk barbecue, Father's Day, what their channel is all about. We even go over a few recipes that they have. And I think one of it is the picanha, blueberry chimichurri, or they have a, what was the other one? A blackberry. That's the one. So we'll be talking to those guys here coming up here in a second. If you want to tune in and interact with the show, that's why we're doing these live. So you can do that. You can do on the right hand side of the chat, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook. You can send questions in that way. We can even get them up on the screen. You can ask the guys questions. You can ask me questions. As you know, I am the interactive communications manager, content guy here at the Big Green Egg, janitor. I do it all. I seriously, podcast host. We get to have some fun here at the Egg, and it is summertime, and we're talking about grilling outdoors. And that's one of the things over the last year with everything going on in the world. A lot of people out there staying home, grilling. A lot of people now getting out and about, but it also means coming together. You got Father's Day. You have the 4th of July coming up. These are all things where families get together, get out in the backyard, grill up some great barbecue, whether it's even hamburgers and hot dogs. That's okay. But you can also do the slow and low stuff. You can do the ribs. You can do the brisket like we had on our last show. We talked to Grilling with Dad. And he talked about his brisket, and the brisket was phenomenal, by the way. And we actually did something. I took a trip up to the Highlands up in North Carolina, and they had the Highlands Motoring Festival, which was really cool. We got to go up there, had a good time, but I stopped at this little farm restaurant on the side of the road, and they had this thing called briskets and gravy. And it was awesome because it was a biscuit that they took and basically opened it up, and they put on brisket on top of it, and then the biscuit on top and gravy, and it was so good. But you got to check out my Instagram, because what I did is I recreated it and made it myself. So we cooked the brisket for 16 hours on the Big Green Egg, just did a regular seasoning on that. Salt and pepper is usually all you have to do. Seriously, a lot of people like to put all these rubs and salt and sugar and all this other stuff. No, don't do all that. Salt and pepper is really all you need on a brisket. You're going to do it slow and low. I did it, I think, at 220 was the temperature I wanted it. And I set that thing on there and I let it rock for about 16 hours, took it off, put it on the biscuit, had the biscuits and gravy. I actually got the biscuits from, I don't know if anybody has stopped here on a local stop here in Atlanta, but the place is called Buttermilk Kitchen. Phenomenal. Oh my gosh. I think it's Suzanne Weisden. I want to make sure I pronounce that right. She's a chef. She's got some videos at biggreenegg.com that you can check out. But she does some great stuff for breakfast, and biscuits, buttermilk biscuits are her thing. It's called Buttermilk Kitchen. She also has a book out you can check out. I'll have her on the show one time. But we're talking about having the guys on. The Grill Dads will be joining us, Mark and Faye, here in a little bit. So get ready for that. Again, if you want to ask a question, you can do that. How do you do that? You go to YouTube or our Facebook channels, and you'll find the chat on the right-hand side there. I'm just going to check real quick while we're sitting here. If you got to say something, please do so, and we'll get those questions on ASAP. Our producer, Ryan, back at the shop, doing a great job, as always, each and every week. But I recreated that briskets and gravy, and it was so good. I mean, it was phenomenal. I was so blown away by being a little roadside kind of farm bed and breakfast, place, and stopped in there and had some great food and some great fun. Some of the beautiful cars out there at that show were amazing. I think we seen some, older Ferraris. They had Ferrari of Atlanta was there with some great cars. They had the new Roma out there, which is a really cool looking car. Almost like I don't want to say a daily driver, but it is a daily driver. That's what the car is kind of built for, is the new daily driver. And we saw an old Lamborghini, So a collection of BMWs. And if you haven't, please go to my Instagram and Facebook, by the way, at Rob D'Amico. That's ROBDAMICO, at Rob D'Amico. Follow along there. I got great pictures of the cars and the cooks that we do. And speaking of cooks and cars, make sure you follow that one as well. It's at Cooks and Cars, all spelled out, COOKSANDCAR. Cooks and Cars, S on there. Don't forget that. Looking at the chat here. Also want to make sure I got my Doug, hello from Tampa. We see you. Appreciate you watching. But my old stomping grounds, by the way, Tampa. I'm from Tampa, St. Pete, down there. Originally from New York, but we moved down there as a kid. I lived all over the Tampa Bay area, whether that was in St. Pete or up near Pasco County. Also, I lived in Tampa for a little bit off of Hillsborough Avenue. Lived out there, so I had a great time. I did radio back in the day out there, so a lot of fun, and I have some great friends that are still out there. And the Lightning, by the way, if you're into hockey, I am. I love hockey. I love racing. I love cars. But the Tampa Bay Lightning, always been my team from the beginning. I got to be there when they opened the doors. I was at the first game. I got I'd have to show you. It's actually here in the office. I keep it here. It's a poster of the first year and the picture of what they call Amalie Arena now, but some great pictures. It's a painting. It's like one of 200, which is really cool. I'm proud to have it, and I was proud to be there when they first were introduced to the city, which was cool when we got the franchise. So that was pretty cool. But my old stomping grounds, nevertheless, and I love Tampa out there. Some great weather. I know it gets hot sometimes and a little muggy out there in Florida weather, but a great time to be grilling. If you got questions, again, you can log on to the right-hand side on YouTube and Facebook and ask a question there. We do this live interactive program. This week, we actually shot some stuff here at The Egg. We did. I talked about the brisket we did, but we did some hamburger, hot dog stuff and different things you can do there for the 4th of July. So keep an eye on the Big Green Egg website. And you can see some of that stuff coming up before the 4th of July for great content, whether you want to, grill out on the 4th or just chill out with some friends. There's some great recipes there as well. And I got to make mention, you sometimes hear me slur on a word or something. It's because I'm going to show you something from hockey. These 4 teeth right here are actually fake. And I'm getting implants put in on those. So having a little bit of a bone graft and stuff done. But it was an old hockey injury, believe it or not. Knocked my teeth out, and it was embarrassing because I was only practicing, and it was only one of the handful of times I was on ice because I really played roller hockey. And I love roller hockey, man. It's a lot of fun. It's fast, and you have a great time doing it. I don't know who's out there playing that, but same thing. Oh, I'm looking here. Doug says he's originally from Brooklyn. I'm originally from Yonkers and White Plains and all that, Bronxville, up near there. And he's also talking about Tampa Bay because of the Lightning, and then obviously with the Tampa Bay Bucks, what they've been able to do with the football team, and obviously Tom Brady. And I got to be honest with you, I'm not a Bucks fan. I love that they won. I'm a Dolphins fan from way back. And being a Dolphins fan, I can't stand Tom Brady because he's so damn good. But it's great for the city, for you guys, and what you've been able to accomplish with Tom Brady over there. And I do expect some great things coming out in the next couple of years with that team as well. As long as those guys stay healthy, you guys should be running for those championships and Super Bowls, no doubt about that. All right, it's time to bring on our guests. We have Mark and Faye, the Grill Dads, joining us today here on the program. I'm glad to have these guys on because they do so much behind the scenes here with us at Big Green Egg. These guys are awesome and know how to have a good time. And there's Mark. I saw him roll into the screen there. Faye, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining us here today at Cooks and Cars. And so guys, you guys have done some cool, what's really cool, and make sure you're following these guys, the Grill Dads, because you guys have found a little niche, a niche in the video world doing these videos, because you guys are in 2 separate areas, but you share this account. Talk about how that came to be.
It's really funny, when we started as a offline sort of brand, right? So we were doing, we did the reality show with Guy Fieri. We, been doing Today Show, Wendy Williams, all this fun stuff. And the social media has been a goal for us, but it's never really been a focus. In the first couple of years of doing it, we put up some really pretty pictures of food. We put up some great shots of a steak on a big green egg and it looked super sexy. But what we found was what we were posting, anybody could do, right? It was the same, like we could see a version of our thing, somebody else. And Faye and I, coming from the advertising background, we always preach, if somebody else could do what you're doing, failed yourself. It's not authentic, it's not ownable. And we realize that we say that all the time to our clients and the people who we're working with on the ad side and people who ask us for advice for their own brand, and we weren't following it. So in December, we had a summit, my house, and a summit means we got the lawn chairs out in the garage.
Yeah, there's like beer involved.
A bunch of Miller High Lives and some lawn chairs.
And so, we said, hey, like, let's find, an ownable niche. And I think Faye was like, hey, let's do this thing where we pass things back and forth. And I'm like, you're out of your mind, because from a production standpoint, that's crazy. Because now, instead of you doing a recipe and me doing a recipe and us having 2 posts, now you're going to cook and I'm going to cook and we're only going to have 1 post. So it's going to reduce our output by 50%. And we're busy, man. It's like everyone's busy. And, we just decided to make it harder for ourselves. But it really clicked that ownability box, and we call it Cooking Together Apart. And we just did this thing for Brixton that we put out yesterday, and we did it together. So we called it Cooking Together Apart together. We went from, 40,000 to 100,000 in a few months. And, so we're super stoked that our online presence has finally caught up with stuff that we're doing. So that's a long answer.
No, but it's great stuff because it stands out from the clutter. As you mentioned, there's like you said, there's many people that can do exactly what you're doing. I'm one of them. I put a picture up, I just leave it up there and it's the same picture that somebody else can have of something else. But I did do something. I was talking about it before, and I was talking about the brisket that I saw when I stopped at some farm store, like bed and breakfast kind of place. And they had a briskets and gravy. Phenomenal. So I wanted to recreate it on the egg, did it. And you do something very unique. So you'll take, I won't do this by the way, cause I will miss. You take whatever you're cooking, throw it over the shoulder. Guess where it lands? On the big green egg. So how many times did it take before you got that right?
So, when Faye and I do Cooking Together Apart, we're very proud of our production setup. We're talking on Google Meet, and then we have our cameras framed up so everything matches when we do the pass back and forth. And
real quick, who are the helpers behind the scenes who are throwing the foods back and forth to help you guys?
No, man, this is left hand or right hand.
Really?
We're so good at it now. I mean, every now and then we'll have our kids
off camera that arm a little bit and then throw that arm pull it in.
Yeah. We're incredibly coordinated for 2 large males. So we're
The reason why I'm telling you about this setup is because Faye can see every time I throw something on Zoom, and I think he'll attest that basically the first time I did it, I'm like, oh, I think this would be funny, and I grabbed the grill was off, and I grabbed a beanbag from Cornhole. I threw it over my shoulder and landed on the grill. I'm like, that's enough practicing.
I got this.
Yeah, I got this. Hold my beer.
Yep.
And the funny thing for me is too, Rob, is that it sucks because like Zoe, my daughter who's 12, is like, hey, Dad, how come on all these videos you can't do something cool like Uncle Momo does? Like, I said, no, I'm the guy. I do other stuff, like I do the head thing, and she's like, yeah, but Momo, Uncle Mark throws it on the grill, and like he hits it every time, so he's kind of the cool guy. And I'm like, I grounded her, obviously.
Yeah,
months.
Obviously, she's not getting a car either, right?
She's in boarding school.
No, she's not.
She's sent away.
She's gone. Yeah. Please.
Hey, speaking of that, you guys are actually competing for Father of the Year because you've obviously sent your daughter off, and then Mark, your kid was sent away for wanting a well done steak, which I love this video. This video is classic. I'm going to ask Ryan back at the shop to play it real quick, and while he's playing it, we can make comments on it. But so the kid comes in the backyard. You're cooking on your big green egg. He looks up at you. And let's see, do you have the audio, Ryan, with this? Hang on. There he is. You shut the door on him. He asked, "Oh, we're having steak?" "Oh yeah, well, I want mine well done." And then the next shot is him getting kicked out with a suitcase. I love this too. When he looks back, "Oh, I got another chance. I can walk back in the house." No, hell no. I'm locking the door.
He doesn't have a key to the deadbolt, by the way.
I love that video.
Well, you know what's funny? It's just a monument to stupidity in the world. We put that video out. First of all, my son only eats medium steak. I just want to set the record straight.
Good kid.
But
I kind of figured.
That thing got 1.4 million views on TikTok, and there literally 1,000 comments from people that thought that was real. And people
see that's a problem today.
Yeah,
because everybody is a little too sensitive. There's,
Oh yeah.
You can't joke like that anymore. I saw it. I was dying laughing. I'm like, this is hilarious. Why didn't I think of kicking my kid out?
Comedy's dead.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. It's pretty sad.
On the rise, comedy is dead.
Yeah. All right, so you guys kicked them out. You got both your kids are in trouble now, but you got them all lined up. So now we're talking some recipes. You guys sent us a couple of recipes today. Do you want to talk about the blueberry one first? Because I find that one very interesting.
Faye, tell Rob what you thought when I said.
Yeah, I called bullshit on it. I have to admit, I was the one, because Mark was like, in the relationship that we have, we're definitely like right brain, left brain kind of crew. Probably both Dumb and Dumber or Chip and Dale, whatever you want to say, but.
I like Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah. So that's what Guy Fieri calls us too. So,
what did he call us the other day? He has a new one every time, Starsky and Hutch. But what was the
Starsky? I don't remember. Yeah, it's just like knucklehead and dipshit. I have no idea what it was, but Mark, like anything, man. Mark and we're so busy, but we're constantly. I mean, we literally talk to each other 50 times a day. My kid will be like, "Your wife's on the phone," and I know it's Mark. So. But Mark had a recipe idea, and he said, "Hey man, I want to do a picanha." I said, "Great! It's one of our favorite cuts. We love it. It's perfect on the egg. We're super stoked to do it." And then he said, "But I want to do a blackberry chimichurri sauce." And I was like, "Come on, man, that just sounds dumb." And I said, "It's not going to work." And Mark's like, "No, man." And he was kind of like, "No, I think it's going to work. Trust me on this one." And typically, look, we're best friends, so we trust each other. But he doesn't trust me for my recipe stuff. I trust him way more because he's more of a tactician. I got to tell you, I had to eat my words, like full blown foot and mouth, like absolutely it's not good. It's ridiculous. Now I'm the guy who's like, "Hey, should we try raspberries, mangoes, pineapples?" Like,
Mark's like, "Shut up."
No, he's like, "No, idiot. We're doing it once and it's this." Yeah. So yeah, no, it's ridiculously good. It's insane.
But Rob, it came from the idea, like, I live in Idaho. And there's a couple restaurants here that do game really well. And adding some sort of wild fruit is not all that uncommon in the elk and venison world. And I was like, man, it just seems like with a picanha, it would translate.
It did. It's ridiculous.
So talk
blackberry chimichurri.
So talk about a picanha, because that's a kind of a newer cut of meat. It's probably been around, but the marketing on it wasn't really good. We got it a couple years ago at one of the Eggtoberfest, and I remember bringing it out and people were like, "What do I do with this? How do you cook it? What, so talk about that a little bit."
I mean, my first experience with it was at a place in Portland called Laurelhurst Market, and they were selling it, and Faye had it at my house. They called it culotte. I don't know how you say it.
Culotte, correct.
Culotte.
And then, so I knew it as that. And then I moved to Idaho and went to a place, and they had Snake River Farm sirloin cap.
Can I back you up for 1 second, Mark, though?
Yeah.
Because Plataforma in New York City, the Brazilian churrascaria, was actually the first time you ever had picanha. And that was with me when you had remember you had the meat sweats and you were on the train and you actually didn't think you'd make it home in time?
My favorite sweats.
Touch and go.
Right.
Touch and go.
No, full Mississippi. Yeah, it was all bad, man. Anderson was in real trouble. But do you remember we had it because it was on skewers, it was on the swords. And we had it cut off, and I had a guy order the garlic thing. So it's a cut. Go ahead, Mark. Sorry, I digress. But that was the first time you actually ever had it. Was there?
Yeah, and then so we had we were getting the sirloin cap, and then Faye and I love those steakhouses, And then once we realized that the picanha was and the the culotte and the sirloin cap were all 3 different names for the same thing, we had fallen in love with that steak. And now, this year, the last 2 years, I mean, it's really had its moment. And like Snake River Farms has changed the name on there from from the culotte or the sirloin to picanha. And it's I gotta tell you, there's a lot of things in the food world that get hyped up. And you try it for yourself and you're like, yeah, it's okay. Picanha steak exceeds the hype. It has a beefy flavor, like something that came from the Chuck Primal. It's got a mouth feel of sirloin, but it has the richness of ribeye. And for us, like, we also love flank steak, hanger steak, outside skirt. Those are really more of you'll see us eating those more than a ribeye. But like, I think objectively, the ribeye cap and the picanha are the craziest good cuts of meat.
Well, one thing I'd say about that too is there's this beautiful fat cap that a lot of cuts don't have that really insulate it. You can season the hell out of this thing, and you're really kind of accentuating the beefy flavor of the meat. And if you notice, it has very thick, kind of elongated grains in it as well. It's very prominent, like very dominant piece. You know exactly which way the grain's going in this thing. And unlike a tri-tip, you don't have to cut it in a couple different ways. You can actually cut this. And Mark and I like to actually now do it, or we cut it into 3 big pieces and we finish it caveman style, which is a pretty baller way of finishing this thing. And that's pretty much reserved for some of the larger cuts, but that fat cap protects it.
Actually, the other thing about the fat cap on there is it's not grizzly. No. It's like beef butter. It's almost like tallow. I mean, it just melts, and that's why you see at the churrascarias they leave that fat cap on. Because I mean, if you're not,
they also turn it sideways and cut it down very thin down the sword, which we've all experienced. And they keep refiring it to create the crust of the iron on the outside, and then they'll have the medium on the medium rare on the inside.
Yeah, that's what they did at Oktoberfest. They ended up doing it where they finished it, kind of caveman style, and did a direct cook down there.
We heard about Oktoberfest. We were talking to Bob about like why we didn't get to be featured. Awesome talent. If you're listening, Bob.
Hey, you know where Bob's at? You guys?
Yeah, he's in Santa Monica. It's down the street from me. Literally, he's on a motorcycle with Big David Rose, man, down the street.
That's right. Yeah. So we're going to do a podcast with those guys when they get back about their trip. They actually started here in Atlanta, got on their motorcycles, rode all the way out to California, and now they're heading back. They had on the way out there some rain. Coming back, they're going to hit that little heat wave thing they got to ride through. So those guys are troopers, man, and we'll kind of chronicle their trip here in the next couple of weeks on the podcast. But those guys out there. Speaking of Oktoberfest, anybody listening, the official word is that it's not dead. So we do have some information coming up here. So you guys need to, keep the phone available, keep it close. We may have something coming up here.
Man. We're really expensive. We're so expensive. Yeah.
Then we'll just move on.
Is there steak there?
Yeah.
Do you have warm cookies by chance?
Yes, we have all that.
Okay.
Hey, we're talking to Mark and Faye, the Grill Dads here on Cooks and Cars. I'm Rob D'Amico. It's my own show. I don't know who I'm working for here, but we're having some fun talking some barbecue, and I'm going to look at some of the messages here. Big Paul on the grill. This is a good one. Mark has little Jules tossing food all over the backyard. I love that. I love
Mark,
Jules, man. She's awesome.
Mark, you should pay attention. No, you're not. You're not paying attention.
And then Ron says, Captain Ron, hey kids, how you doing? Yep. Hanging in there.
Love Captain.
Yeah, man. All right. So what's the next recipe you guys have here? Which one did you send us, Mark?
Did we send the ribeye with the fried onions and shallots?
Yes. And actually the fried shallots, man, look fantastic. I was always
shallots.
Yeah. But I'm not you guys are going to hate me. I'm the one Italian. I'm the one Italian who does not eat garlic. Sorry. I can't. I don't know what. Yep. See you guys. It was
That's
nice. And that's it for the show, ladies and gentlemen. I can't. I don't know what it is. I bleed.
What?
It comes out of me in like 2 seconds. I feel nasty, greasy, and disgusting, but
Do me a favor.
it's real good.
Sell
Go
your
ahead.
bacon and eggs, switch to a George Foreman, and stay in the kitchen like everybody else did in the car.
Yeah, I feel like we need to make some crispy garlic for Rob so he knows what's up, man.
I'm never eating your guys' food now that I told you that. No, but seriously, it looks delicious.
Yeah, it's the reason why we shared that one with you is because Faye and I always, again, we're the grill dads on purpose and not the barbecue dads, right? So the barbecue is a cuisine, the grill is a tool. The reason why we love the big green egg is because you can do brisket at 225 for 24 hours, or you can sear a steak at 800 degrees, or cook a pizza in 90 seconds at a crazy high temp. And you can do everything in between. On thicker cuts of meat, we still do the reverse sear. But what a lot of people don't think about, and we try and change that, is using cast iron or carbon steel pans outside on the grill while they're cooking. So we shared that one with you just because we love the setup of that one. We had the Mini Max set up as a burner, which we do all the time. We just use that as like our side burner for our XL. And
Pretty constantly,
so
actually,
we
yeah.
smoked the ribeye, at a low indirect heat on the XL. And then we put the made-in carbon steel pan, which is an awesome pan, on the Mini Max, got it ripping hot, and then seared it, for like, I don't know, I think it was like 45 seconds. That pan was probably.
Oh, we also did the crispy shallots and garlic in a pot on the Mini Max as well. So with the amount of oil that we put in, using chopsticks to move it around. So.
And then you guys, how many grills do you have between the two of you? Eggs. Let me put it that way.
Just eggs. Okay, just
Yeah.
eggs. We each have 3.
XL and 2 minis.
What is it?
We each have 1 XL and 2 Mini Max.
2 Mini Max, yeah. And so when you use the XL, do you have, do you have an expander in it or no? Do you ever do the multiple levels?
Sure. I mean, it totally depends on what we're cooking. And we've set it up. We have the charcoal baskets. We have the expanders. We have the rack system. Mark and I tend to do a lot of 2-zone cooking because we tend to kind of. It's funny, the cooking process for us a lot of times is not just one thing; it's multiple things, and we do also a lot of our ingredient components are in addition to the protein. We'll do a cookie sheet, a tomato sauce cookie sheet recipe where the vegetables are on there, and use that. With this burritos, we may char vegetables and we make salsa. We actually make grilled salsa, but then re-grill the burrito. If we make that like on there, same thing with the protein, whether it's chorizo or whatever. So you're going to find us kind of like, it's very Swiss Army knife for us. So, I mean, the green egg is like absolutely the device that we tend to use to kind of do the whole thing on it. We don't need an outside burner. We don't need other stuff. We just do it all right on the devices that we have right there.
And that's why we love the egg, because it gives you the creativity options on actually setting up the fuel source for cooking the food. So Faye and I have done, probably 10 different versions of reverse sear on the big, between different inserts on the XL, between using the Mini Max. There's all these different options, and that's the fun thing. Is it's like Faye and I will call each other right before we start filming, and we're lighting the eggs, and we're like, hey, what's the setup today? And Faye's like, hey, I was going to do, the 2-zone. And I was like, hey, I was thinking we should actually use the full indirect plate so that we can do X, Y, and Z. And there's 20 ways to skin the cat, so to speak. Well,
the other thing, Anderson, which is interesting, is breakfast for us, because it's a there's so many different types of, they're all separate little pieces. Yeah, you can integrate a breakfast for you, but if you're doing steak, eggs, potatoes, and then a sauce, for example,
right?
Like, it's kind of perfect. We're big proponents of making really fun breakfasts. And Mark and I can never decide. We say this all the time. Like, we're the worst to go to breakfast with because we never can decide whether we want sweet or savory. So what ends up happening is a gratuitous amount of food comes to the table. Typically, the sweet is what we put in the middle for each other. We're like ordering these extra things just to try. I'm a sucker for biscuits, so I'm like, can I just get a biscuit? a little biscuit. And
He always does the hand thing too to confirm that.
Yeah. Well, you got to know, make
you
sure.
got to know that there's a biscuit, right? That fits in there.
I told him on that the other day, and Faye's like,
Yeah, you totally busted me, man.
"Oh my god, that's exactly what I do."
No,
Because at the end of the order, like we'll order, like I'll get an omelet, he'll get something, I get a pancake, just so we can try something sweet, and then as she's putting the pen back in her apron, he goes, "You know what? I'd like to try."
Hey, ma'am.
Can
I get a biscuit. Yeah, I know.
He always says, "Just try." Doesn't need that level of detail as to what we're gonna do with the biscuit, but it's always like,
Makes me feel better.
And he orders. He's like, "Oh, you see that cinnamon bun? Hey, can we try a cinnamon bun?" And we end up having. We don't eat it all.
You
but
just
we
can't
end up
stop.
having 11 things on the table.
Well, I have the same problem in a 7-Eleven or a gas station. I never quite know. Like Mark calls me Aunt Faye because I'm the guy that has like a bag full of 47 different things, like whether it's some Sour Patch Kids all the way through a whatchamacallit bar, and there's Chex Mix and Rolos and Cheetos and all that. And but I don't even eat it all. But people ask me for it. Like, hey, can I get this? I'm like, I got you. So
How's your heart nowadays?
I'm fine.
Okay.
I swear to God, I don't even eat that much of this stuff. I swear to you, I don't even eat it. I just get it. Mark, it's the truth. I don't eat all of it.
Faye, if you ever invited Faye over for dinner, which I highly recommend you don't do.
Okay.
At the end of the meal, he will stand up and give you a manifesto about how he doesn't do dessert and he's not a sweets guy. And then you go into his house and you open the pantry and you're smothered by Sour Patch Kid bags that fall out and knock you to the ground.
Cookies.
Yeah. It's like, dude, these are bottle caps. They're not dessert. They're not sweet. Like,
they're bottle caps, man. It's a Wonka candy. That's like a category. You know what I mean?
Hey, I got a sweet tooth too, Faye, man, and I love the sweets. And this is a weird one, but I have to always eat peanut M&Ms. Like that's my thing.
I love peanut M&Ms.
God, I can't get enough of those things.
Love them.
Have any of those?
No, but we put those in a griddle.
If I walked away right, did you really?
100% and smoked it. Yeah. It's
fantastic. My gosh.
Just dump it in some batter, brother, and then you just drizzle it with I drizzle it with caramel.
So if I could walk over to the other side over here behind this camera, I have one of those giant bags that I keep here at the office. Dude, I have a
stand-up candy machine in my house.
Do you really?
Yeah, there are runts in it right now. But yeah,
he's a full movie theater popcorn machine too.
I do. I'm a carny at heart, basically.
So we're talking to Mark and Faye, the Grill Dads. I'm Rob D'Amico here on Cooks and Cars. I did it again. I don't know what. I might have
we make you nervous.
A stroke this weekend.
Right. Terrible.
But yeah, I know. I could joke about that because I swear I almost did one. I had a vertebral artery dissection. If you ever know what that is, or a pseudoaneurysm. It's basically the arteries that go through your neck to your brain basically tore and ripped apart.
I don't know
how I did it. I just ended up in a hospital. What's that?
So I don't know what all those words mean, so I'm going to take it as disrespect.
They're big, yeah. But I can say it. So anyways, you guys, you were talking about breakfast. I want to continue that because we have some footage of a breakfast burrito that you did. And that's the cool thing about an egg is that, you can use it for what, if it's just pizza you like to cook, you can cook pizza. If it's slow and low, you could just do slow and low, but it's so versatile. You could do so many different things. In fact, you mentioned it earlier, is the different levels and what you do and the complexity of a breakfast. You can do all of it at once with a big green egg and your breakfast burrito. Talk about that.
Well, the other key point is, and Faye and I were just talking about this yesterday. It's not always fun to be in front of a 700-degree grill on an August afternoon. So a lot of times in the summer, Faye and I will do like a frittata. We'll do a breakfast burrito. We'll get our grilling itch scratched in the morning for breakfast before it's crazy hot outside, and it's really relaxing. Oddly, to light charcoal at 6 in the morning. But yeah, breakfast outside is our favorite.
Yeah, it's definitely something like we do a lot of camping together, Mark and I, and when you crack that first Miller High Life at when you wake up at the crack of dawn and you're about ready to make your cowboy campfire breakfast, it's it's something that we love to do. And I think Mark's right. You know, it gets super hot in certain places. I live in Southern California, so I don't have as much of that problem, but you know, but a lot of where I'm from in Ohio, man, you don't want to grill at noon, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock. The humidity will just knock your face off. So, but it doesn't really stop us from grilling necessarily.
Oh, I know the feeling.
Yeah,
It gets hot as hell here. We were out there yesterday grilling out, and it was almost 90
Whatever.
degrees. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all good. Hey,
It's all good.
I want to talk some cars since this is Cooks and Cars. I got it right.
All right, yes,
I got it right.
Nailed
Cooks and
your own
Cars.
show.
Yep. So I want to talk about cars. It looks like Mark's out. Mark, you're not into cars, or?
He's gonna say he's not, but he's super into cars, by the way.
I am super into it, but like I could be like, hey, I've got a 512 with 6400. Like I don't know. I'm not a like detail spec guy, but I do have a strong passion for.
And how about you, Faye?
I mean, look, growing up in the sticks in Ohio, it kind of comes with the territory. If
Yeah.
you don't have a car on blocks in your yard or your neighbor's yard, then you're kind of doing something wrong because it's right next to the pit bull or whatever's out on chain. No, I just sold my 67 Camaro SS. I had a heritage
What?
version. I sold a 454 big block, and it was candy apple red interior and black.
Oh, my
Chevy bow tie on the
gosh.
front. Yeah, I sold it to a dude in Spain actually. That went out there, but again, I live here. It was a 4 on the floor, so it's funny. I pulled this thing up, and luckily here, the valet guys know how to drive it here. Man, anywhere else I go, they're like, "Sir, can you please park that yourself?" And does it have to have that much smoke rolling out the back? And I'm like, oh, yes, it does. First of all, I smell
sitting
like motor oil. Oh, it's such a beautiful sound. I mean,
Sounded like a
I
sailboat
literally-
in Idle.
Yeah.
it literally, you got to hold your foot on the brake when this thing idles. I mean, I remember giving it to Mark, and he screeched this thing down the street, and I was like, "Here, take a ride." When I first
And then,
got it,
and by the way, not trying to impress anyone, but then screeched it again when I hit second, and then
Yeah.
when I hit
you screeched it in third too. It was insane. Yeah, so
The tires, or Mark was squealing.
yes.
Yes. No, man, I'm like Rob. I'm like you, man. I'm such a big car guy. I worked for a while for this dude at Galpin Ford, and I saw a lot of the old school like Galpin, Ford Mustangs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In the past, I had a Barracuda. Like, there's been all sorts of. I had a '59 Chevy Apache stepside, beautiful truck. My dad's messed around with cars his whole life. My brother, I mean, he has a 1938 Ford right now.
Sweet.
That was actually carried a circus organ called a calliope on the back, and it was like a really old school, way they used to drive around the town and let people know the circus was in town.
That's
drive
cool.
the truck around. Yeah.
And then if you can have any car that you wanted, what would be your dream car to keep in the garage for you?
71 Dodge
2016
Challenger.
Crown Prius.
Wait, I'm sorry. Was that a
Go
Prius?
ahead, Mark. Yeah. Sorry. What? No, Mark. You have a very specific. Very specific. It's not a car. It's a truck, and it's very much a farm equipment, like old school. You probably know where I'm going with this, Rob. But this guy is so insanely stoked over a Scout. He loves the
Oh,
old Scouts.
Yeah, those are nice trucks. I mean, those are one of those. It's almost like going back and getting one of the old Broncos. Everybody loves to get those old Broncos. And now the new Broncos come out, which I don't know if I'm a fan of yet, to be honest with you. I just,
We're in the same boat.
yeah, I'm not too, and I've actually seen the Broncos Sport, which some of them hit the
bigger
road.
one.
Yeah, it just looks kind of like an Explorer. It's just with a front end of a Bronco. It's a little weird, but Faye, what was your car? You said the dream car?
Well, I mean,
71?
for me, I always wrestle with the 71 Dodge Charger, kind of like in the Dukes of Hazzard era kind of stuff, which is just a big, solid, beautiful car. But I mean, 68 GTOs. I mean, I'm such an American muscle guy. I've been that way. Like, I like Mopar for Dodge and for what it is, but look, I had a Chevy for quite a long time too, and they're just great. But the irony is like you get these cars, these muscle cars, people don't realize how small they are and how close the pedals are. And there are the three models. This: the Firebird, the Mustang, and the Camaro were all actually manufactured to be a crossover vehicle for women to get into driving these types of things. The pedals are close, and it's just a easier way to use it. And there's a whole bunch of history on this that I've read in the past. Some of it's probably anecdotal, but they are just so fun to drive. But I like those big, unnecessary Detroit steel.
Right. Yeah.
Where you need to kind of weld the door shut because you don't want them
look
flying
at this
open.
guy. He's so obnoxious.
Kind of, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Look at my face. I should be that guy. But no, I'm American muscle all the way. I've always enjoyed these hobbies and these cars, and well, I'll have more. To me, they're just like, it's like anything, man. You find the one you like. Who cares if it? Me personally, I don't care if it's all stock numbers and the whole thing. I'm like, I want to drive it. I buy cars to drive them. I don't buy cars to let them set.
Even at the high end, if it's an exotic car, I'm still buying it to drive it. There's no doubt in my mind.
Drive the car.
Absolutely, hands down. That's what they're built for. That's what collecting all that stuff, putting it in the garage and keeping it there. I have no interest in doing that at all. All right. Hey guys, great to have you on again. Remember that Oktoberfest. Keep your phones on. We got some stuff coming up here in the next couple of weeks that we'll let you know. We'll check in with Bob and Chef David Rose on their trip. So we'll get an update on that. So how do people find you guys and get more information? Website, social media, all that great stuff.
At the Grill Dads everywhere. So TikTok, Facebook. Facebook usually has slightly longer versions of our recipes. Instagram. We are going to be back on the Today Show on July 19th.
Nice.
We cooked tomahawk caveman style on the Today Show a couple weeks ago, and you can find
Memorial
that
Day.
Today.com and search for the Grill Dads. And
well, you can also see all of our stuff you can see our shows on Discovery Plus. It's on Amazon, Apple, iTunes, and Hulu as well. I think the Facebook app has it. So Food Network app. So yeah, I mean, if you just Google Mark and Faye or the Grill Dads, we're kind of ironically, we probably have as much now it's getting different since we have a good online growing presence, but we kind of cut our teeth in this world 3 years ago and offline, all cable TV, man. So
it was cool. So let's go back to that real quick, because how did you get into that? Where'd you go from the marketing side of being in corporate world and then all of a sudden end up here in barbecue land and doing shows and things like that? How did you end up there?
Go ahead, Mark. You want to give
I'm going to give you the super quick version. I mean, we've told it a bunch. I mean, basically we came up
Prison release.
Yeah. Well, we were working at
right.
Our jobs got really busy, and we went from young creatives to adults doing sales forecasting and pipeline work. And so grills were a creative outlet. So we came up with the Grill Dads, and originally we were going to do sort of like a underserved dad market blog and say, hey, we'll put up some grill recipes, we'll make some ad revenue. Came up with the show idea, which was originally called The Search for California Barbecue. Sent it to Mark Summers. He gave it life.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. A lot of fun. And I'm sure you've met some great people over that time period as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, I saw Faye shaking his head. No, I was like, oh, this can't be good.
No, man. No, people don't know what to think of us, to be honest. A lot of times, there's not a lot of funny in food, and that's kind of where we occupy that space a little bit.
Yeah.
Not because it's contrived, because I'm funny and Mark is not, so it works that way.
Clearly.
Clearly.
And believing that is why this works.
But no, we've been really fortunate, man. I mean, we're also we're not shy. We know what we want. We have a really fun time. We're not pretentious. We can't stand the way the media portrays dads in general. It's just it's insulting and stupid. If I see another, oh my gosh, I can't even get on my soapbox right now. A company I used to work for just put out this horrible thing it's the most cliche dad thing I've ever seen ever. And it actually makes me angry. So I don't want to talk about it. But because I'm not wearing New Balance and khaki pants, but whatever. But I think Mark and I have a bit of a mission, and we share that with a lot of people. Like our homies, Jet Tilla's become a really good friend of ours. And Chef Jet is just he's a monster. He's an insane cook. He's also the nicest human being on the planet. And we get great advice from him. Guy has been an insanely cool mentor to us. I mean,
really? That's really good, cool, man.
And he has his shit. He knows his stuff. Not only that, but he does care. Legitimately cares about other people, cares about the restaurant industry.
He does get great joy from making fun of us.
Well, yes, he does.
Great material.
We get hazed pretty often by a guy.
Is that allowed anymore? I don't know if it's allowed anymore. Is it?
For us, he does. No one would care.
Yeah, sorry for those two. Hey, we know Father's Day is coming up. Let me be the first to tell you guys Happy Father's Day, even though clearly you're not great dads. But we just I want to wish you that anyways. But a pleasure to have you guys on, man. Thank you so much for joining us. And we look for some of those great videos that you guys do online. And again, if you don't follow these guys, do at The Grill Dads, and you're going to get some great content, no doubt about that.
Thanks, man. Much appreciated. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. And until next week, ladies and gentlemen, you can find us at cooksandcars.com, at Cooks and Cars, and I'm also at Rob D'Amico, ROBDAMICO. Until next week, thank you, Ryan, back at the shop. We'll see you then. And we'll do this live every Thursday